got my new book, 3 Tips to Play Better Golf. Practice, practice, practice. Now, back to Danielle Tucker.
I like that. That's a really good analogy. You know, you don't, very, very well said. I don't think a lot of people have thought about it that way. So you get your stance. You're going to have kind of an idea of which way to go, you know, but you don't want to make the final decisions in the aim until you're all comfortable in your stance. So when you're doing the video talking about the shoulder, wrist, and holding the arm out so that you can grip the putter in the right way, the ankle, knee, hip combo moves. So you're synchronizing the moving parts. And then, of course, it takes a while for that to come naturally, doesn't it?
It depends on the person. Some people get it pretty quickly. Other people are not very mechanically adept, or people learn things in different ways. Everybody has a different procedure to learn things. You have to get, it's like learning anything, any other skill, you have to get in your reps. And when you do, then once you do that, then you have, you will feel these pre-shot moves rather than having to think about supinating your forearm and opening your stance and all the details. It kind of melts away. You know, you think of musicians when they're playing, learning a piece. It's very tedious and it takes time. It's really no different with this. And but once you learn it, then it really becomes second nature, and you can focus on your putt rather than what players do when they're aiming the putter first. Then they have to really pay a certain amount of attention to guiding the putter down their start line to make certain that they're hitting it on the line, and they have to deliver distance control. So that's 2 things, and your brain it switches back and forth, but if you're thinking line, you're forgetting about your distance. And what DynAlign does is it allows you, it gets a stable arc in your stroke, and you can feel this stable arc. And then you'll aim that arc, and you have confidence that that's going to be on your start line, so you can really focus on your distance control, and that allows you to use your dominant hand, which is our best player for throwing balls. We've done this all our life, and so we fully engage rather than taking the hands out of the stroke, which is of something that you hear a lot of. We want our best player in the game, so that's why we're able to use our dominant hand.
That's nice. Okay, when I was watching the video too, and it's all at DynAlignGolf.com, Dyn, D-Y-N, Align, golf.com. Your stance was wide for putting, I thought. And I thought that's weird.
I know. It seems counterintuitive. People think square stance, square hips, square shoulders makes sense. It does it's symmetrical, and it does make sense that in that configuration, you have the most range of motion in your hips. If you're standing square, then your hips are not really supported by your legs. And you think back of the great Bobby Locke putting. He had an extreme closed stance, so he was doing it an opposite way. We don't have an extremely open stance. We have a bit of an open stance, but that allows us to rotate our torso clockwise against that bit of an open stance, and that provides stability from the feet up. So we're involving 12 of the 13 major joints in the body, and so we're getting support from the ground up. And each all of your joints, when you move one segment, say move your forearm, well, that's going to affect the upper arm, and then that can affect your shoulder. So it's all connected, and so we connect all these parts beforehand.
Yeah.
It's mechanical. Any machinery needs to have the moving parts torqued down so it works repetitively. Like you said, the front end of your car, if it's not aligned, your steering wheel is going to be going. You're adjusting it constantly. And so we want to get rid of most of that, not all of it, not to a hard end range, but we go to a soft end range. And So Bryson does a similar thing. He does it in a different way. His rotations to reduce the range of motion in his joints. He's going opposite way with his shoulders. I believe his shoulders are rotating inward and his hands are outward, or it's the opposite way of that. But we go with DynAlign. We're winding it forward, and this is counterclockwise. And this actually goes back far in golf history. I didn't know about this, but this is related to, on the Ryder Cup, the little golfer on the top of the Ryder Cup is Abe Mitchell. He was a famous English golfer back in the day, and he was Samuel Ryder's coach, and that's how he ended up being the little golfer on the top of the Ryder Cup. But he wound the club forward in his pre-shot routine, and that was in order. He was one of the longer hitters in those days, so he used dynamic alignment back, hundreds of years ago. And I didn't know about about Abe Mitchell, until I started working with Steve Elkington, and then I learned about it. So, I didn't invent something brand new, but you certainly don't see it now. Right. I just developed it more.
Yeah. So it was done intuitively by some, and you've taken it, considering you had the yips, you want to take everything that could go wrong out of your joints out of the equation if you have the yips. So that's really what you did. You wanted to get everything in position for a natural transition without there being any counter forces